Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records. Last night, for the first time, I saw Mickey Thomas and Starship featuring Mickey Thomas, and I enjoyed it. If you grew up when I did, you couldn't escape the late 70s songs like Jane and Find Your Way Back. And as we morphed into the 80s, by 1985, Jefferson Starship turns into Starship. Really, what that amounted to was Paul Kantner was done with that type of music, and when he left the band in '84, they continued on Grace Slick and Mickey Thomas as Starship. By the end of the decade, the whole thing blows up. Donnie Baldwin, who is now the current drummer of Jefferson Starship, has a physical altercation with Mickey Thomas, breaking some of his ribs, requiring Mickey Thomas to have reconstructive surgery on his face. Craig Charkiko is gone by 1990. And the Starship moniker is gone. Grace Slick, of course, retires in 88. There's a brief Jefferson Airplane reunion around 1989 or 90. She retires completely. Mickey Thomas reboots Starship in 92, and they've been going on since then. The band was fantastic. This was a night at the Family Arena where we had 4 acts. We had Missouri, famous for the song Moving On from Town to Town, if you remember that one. The road goes on and on into the sunset, that song. And then we had Shooting Star. Stand up on your feet. Your life is... Anyway, life is cold as hell. Life is short as hell. You could be dead tomorrow. Today may be your last chance. So we got Shooting Star. Then we got John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. On the dark side, Eddie and the Cruisers, right? Well, my Ole Miss Rebels were playing Florida. The game started at 6. I decided, hey, I'm going to watch this game. And if I'm not too depressed from a loss, I'm going to just catch Starship, because that's really what I want to do, is catch Starship. I'm a big fan of Airplane, Jefferson Airplane. In 1974, they become Jefferson Starship, primarily because Jarmo Kukkonen and Jack Cassidy leave the band, at which point they call themselves Jefferson Starship. Mickey Thomas joins in 1979. They have a huge hit with a song called Jane. And like I said before, they morph into Starship. Let's go over the set list. Let's go over the band. Mickey Thomas, of course, on vocals and some guitars and tambourine. We have Chelsea Foster singing and doing the Grace Slick stuff and doing it really well. I really enjoyed her. All of these band members were throwing shapes, meaning they weren't just playing their guitars. The bass player was running around and doing things like all the moves, like the slow walk in and then the stumble back like you're surprised and you're going to fall type of thing. And sashaying up to Mickey and doing this with the drummer, John Roth, who we found out last night, this was his last show with Starship. After 13 years, he's going on to Foreigner. John's a beast. John's ripping a Les Paul, just like you want him to do. Danny Verdosco on drums. He's been there since 1985. Think about that. 1995. Phil Bennett on keyboards has been there since 1995. Jeff Adams on bass is the guy who's been there since 2000. The guy was hysterical to watch just because there wasn't a time where he wasn't doing some sort of move, whether it's this move or strumming like this and walking up to people. And like I said, John Roth guitar and Chelsea Foster. It got me thinking, we are watching with our eyes. It's a Saturday night. And yes, this is Starship with one original member, but they're not mailing it in. Mickey Thomas's voice last night was phenomenal from the get-go. They opened up with a song off of Nuclear Furniture. Was Nuclear Furniture? Called Laying It on the Line. It's a good opener. Solid enough opener. But then we get the opening parts of Jane. And, you're waiting to hear this. You're waiting to hear the vocals. And whether or not a 75-year-old Mickey Thomas can still nail this vocal. And, of course, he nails it. Very, very impressive. I mean, just, earlier this summer or this fall with my brother Dennis, we went to the Fox Theater in St. Louis and saw Jefferson Starship with 38 Special in Kansas. Dave Freeberg's still running the show down there with Jefferson Starship. Donnie Baldwin's still on drums. And they had Kathy Richardson doing the Grace Slick stuff. It was neat to see Chelsea Foster do her own version. And by the way, Jefferson Starship's still doing White Rabbit and Want Somebody to Love. And we got both of those here tonight with Chelsea Foster. After Jane, we got Sarah. It's not my favorite material from the 80s, but it certainly represents a time when I was 13, 14, 15 years old. And it was nostalgic to see that. We then get Wild Again, a song I wasn't crazy about and not familiar with. I think it's off of the Cocktail soundtrack. That's what they said. Mickey Thomas made a joke that they almost got the Top Gun song, that Danger Zone, or at least that slot, but Kenny Loggins certainly appreciates getting that number. Nothing's going to Stop Us Now, and Albert Hammond covered. This was off of the Mannequin soundtrack, and again, if these world turns out lovers, to hear that vocal, all that I need is you, and is crushing these vocals. If you've ever been a singer, you have your good days and your bad days. I don't know what Mickey Thomas's bad days are like, but what I saw last night was great. And I can't imagine what he was like 40 years ago. I just can't. Or 50 years ago. Set the Night to Music was next. I really just didn't like this song. And you start thinking, man, God only gives you so many hits. And then you got to fill out a set list with a song like Night to Music. I did not care for that song. But then it was White Rabbit and Somebody to Love time. A Jefferson Airplane cover of White Rabbit with Chelsea Foster. She just was very thespian in the sense that it was almost theatrical. But boy, the way that she commanded the stage and the way that she killed the vocals just made it appropriate. Again, everybody's doing their part to put a rock show on a Saturday night and give people the money they pay for. By the way, my tickets were free. Thank you, Family Arena, for having all these package deals over the years. And usually when they don't quite sell out, they'll do a contest for front row, and you can win a runner-up ticket, which I did, which put me in the action and in there for free. I spent $20 last night. Parking is normally $15. I got there late enough, skipping Missouri, skipping Shooting Star, and skipping John Cafferty, to just pull right in front, actually, next to all the cop cars. Walk in, buy 2 beers, because I knew that they were going to stop selling, so I had $10 a piece, $20 worth of beers. After Somebody to Love and White Rabbit, we got Fooled Around and Fell in Love. And that's a song from like 1975, a song by the Elvin Bishop Group. It was a big hit for Elvin Bishop Group, and it certainly put the world on notice about Mickey Thomas. Clearly paving the way for them to ask him into the band with that iconic voice. Around the 70s time, we're getting singers like Lou Gramm. We're getting singers like Brad Delp. We're getting singers like Steve Perry. In Kansas is Steve Walsh. It's these voices that cut through the heavy guitar rock. And that's what Mickey's does. It cuts through that layer, and, not many of us can sing like that. It was awesome. The Stranger was next. Another song, again, a little bit of a fall off. I didn't know the song. It was a deeper track. They then do We Built the City, right? And we can make fun of that song all we want. We built this city on rock and roll. And they're not talking about San Francisco. That's what he says, and he said last night. They're talking about we built this world on rock and roll, and all these cities were built on rock and roll. And as hokey and cheesy as that sounds, well, rock and roll had a huge run from 1955 to 2005, or still. Let's not act like it isn't still affecting us, because it does. They then take a proper encore. A lot of these times, it's 11 o'clock now. A lot of times they walk off for a second. They took a full-blown, 3 or 4 5-minute walk off the stage. Everything's black. I'm fully expecting them to come out and play Find Your Way Back, which is awesome track. And they come out and they do Don't Stop Believing by Journey. And I don't know why. I don't know why. They kept then thanking the crowd, or the bandmates. Again, John Roth's moving on to Foreigner. They were able to nail that song, including Mickey Thomas is showing off his vocals and doing A Whole Lot of Love at the end. Woman, You Need Love by Led Zeppelin, just to show off that he can do this range. Now they're going to play another song. Of course, we're going to get the great Find Your Way Back, and we don't. We get Rock Music, which was a song that I hadn't heard in years. In fact, is that also off of Nuclear Furniture? No, it's not off. Laying It on the Line is off of Nuclear Furniture. By the way, we didn't get, I talked to my buddy Joe, Rock and Roll Joe, after the show. Why didn't we get No Way Out? I have no idea why we didn't get No Way Out off of Nuclear Furniture from 1984. It would have been nice to hear. The Stranger is off of, what is it off of? It doesn't matter. Oh, excuse me. Rock Music is off the first album with Mickey Thomas, which is called Freedom at Point Zero from 1979. Yeah, I didn't get my Find the Way Back. Although I did get it with Jefferson Starship a few months ago. But they didn't want to play it. And it's kind of cool. There was a lot of swagger last night between these guys. These guys are proud musicians. And you can walk off that stage after a 2-song encore and not play your most famous song or one of them. Left me wanting it, but then I also thought, you know what? These guys done this before. Sometimes they don't play that because they could play rock music, and it was killer. It's a killer version of that song, but I loved the concert. Check out my channel. We only talk about great music here on Intersection Records. Yes, I'm disappointed I missed Missouri and Shooting Star and John Cafferty, but I saw Starship finally and saw Mickey Thomas. It was great. Peace out and see you.